Good morning. My name is Steve, and I'll be the host of today's Hangout. Joining us again is Charlie Seyffer, an air filtration expert with Camfil USA, the global leader in clean air solutions, to talk about air quality and solutions for airports. Good morning, Charlie. How are you today?
Good morning, Steve. I'm doing wonderful. The weather's starting to break, and spring is coming.
Great. Of course, that brings pollen, but I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Always good for the filter industry.
Yep. Charlie, why should we be concerned about the air quality in airports?
Well, Steve, it's funny. Most people really don't think about it because it's primarily a transient atmosphere where you're only there for a short period of time. But unfortunately, as we all know, delays have become more prevalent with the airlines, and it's not unusual to spend 2, 4, even 6 hours in an airport. We all know that some people even spend overnight there. So the exposure to the contaminants in the airport is getting worse because the longer you're exposed to something, then the more problems that you can develop. And of course, we've got to worry about the employees, the people that are typically working those 8, 12, sometimes longer shifts in the airports. So people don't think about it, but that doesn't mean that the contaminants are not there.
You know, that's a good point. I've never really given it much thought. I think about it at home, I think about it in other areas, but I've never given it any thought to when I'm in the airport waiting on that security line. So what type of pollutants should be concerned about?
Well, unfortunately, airports are basically a cornucopia of all sorts of different contaminants. I mean, the primary one that everybody is probably thinking of is jet fumes. Well, jet fumes are diesel-based and relatively easily removed by filtration. But that's not the only thing that we need to be worried about there. If you think about the number of items that are creating pollution in an airport, the power units, the auxiliary power units that keep the planes air conditioned or heated during the winter, the tugs that move the airplanes back and forth, transport vehicles, trucks, cargo loaders, the shuttles that go from terminal to terminal, or the shuttles that simply pick you up and take you to rental car locations. And then, of course, taxis, cars, and as usual, the biggest pollution contributor, the number of people moving through the facility.
Incredible. What types of air filters are used in airports to help with these problems?
Well, for the most part, it's just the same as a commercial building. They use filters that have a minimum efficiency reporting value of MERV 13. And basically, that's a high-efficiency filter that gets to the point where it starts removing submicron-sized particles. So a MERV 13 filter will remove particles that you can see, so it prevents staining on the walls and other dirt materials that have a tendency to break down the environment within an airport. And then it also stops particles that can get deep into your lungs and cause problems there. The other consideration always should be is that the filter maintains efficiency. So not only should airports be looking for MERV 13, they should also be looking for MERV 13A, which is an additional test that makes sure that the filter maintains efficiency over time.
And what about gaseous contaminants? Do those filters capture those?
No, they do not. In airports, typically carbon is applied, which is basically granular, and you can have up to 90 pounds of carbon for 2,000 CFM moving through an HVAC system. And what it does is it acts like a sponge, the same as the baking soda that you might put in your refrigerator to remove odors. Carbon is used in commercial structures. And of course, carbon will remove the jet fumes and a lot of the odors associated with the vehicles that are moving around the airport. And if you think about it, the bioeffluents or the body odor coming off of people as they move through the airport, very easily removed by carbon. For certain things, though, like trucks that might use gasoline, a lot of airports also use blends. So they not only use carbon, but they also use things that are called oxidizers, but they basically fit into the same type of filter. So most airports will use a particulate filter, and then they'll use special filters that use carbon or blends to remove the gaseous contaminants. And you have to admit, when you go through most airports, the odors are very well removed because most of us never even noticed that these odors are even existing.
That's a good point. That's perhaps why we don't really give much thought to the indoor air quality at the airports. Are there any present-day concerns we should really be aware of?
Well, like in anything, even things that you may buy for your home, if it seems too good to be true, it's probably not. There are some companies offering some different type of technologies out there trying to take advantage of the green mentality and saying, you know, this is something that's more green than what we've used historically. The dangerous thing about these so-called magic offerings is that when you look at technology that's been used in airports since the 1950s, it works. And once you step away from that, we may be creating more problems than we really want to.
Right. So where can our listeners get more information about the type of filters and airport filtration in general?
Well, like in anything, the web is an excellent source. Camfil maintains multiple websites that where people can download technical information specific to almost any application. Their website is www.camfil.us, and then also another one is catalog.camfil.us. And then on both of those sites, you're able to find our local distributors, and our local distributors are basically filtration experts that can with any application that you have, they can take it to the right filtration to make sure the occupants of that structure are protected.
Excellent. Thank you all for participating. We look forward to seeing you at our next Hangout when we cover more essential air filtration topics. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Steve.